Well, hi there, and welcome to the Highlighter Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Isero, and in this second episode of the podcast, I'd like to chat about three things. The first is that I'd like to thank everyone who listened to last week's first ever episode. Some of you even subscribed, which is a big bonus, so thank you very much. The second thing is that I want to let you know that I've decided that the podcast is going to start coming out on Mondays. Here's my thinking. I figure the digest comes out on Thursdays, so I'll give everyone a few days to read the articles to see which ones you liked, and then on Monday, I'll interview one of you about an article that you want to talk about. And maybe, if it's possible, I'll interview the author of the article too. My goal here is to get us talking about what we're reading and to build the Highlighters reading community. So please let me know if you'd like to be on an upcoming episode of the podcast. Don't be nervous. It'll just be you and me having a nice conversation with potentially hundreds of people listening in. That gets me to the third thing, which is my highlighted article of the week. I'm choosing the piece on Henry David Thoreau and Walden. It's the third article this week, and it's not the longest article, and it won't beat you upside the head or anything, but I appreciated the article's subtle but important message. Thoreau turned 200 this week, and maybe because it's the 4th of July and we're in an unsure time right now, there were a ton of articles celebrating Thoreau's birthday. There's something very old-school American about Thoreau. He's the guy who shunned the excesses of society, who went to the woods to live simply, to get at the essence of things. If you read Walden in high school, as I did, there's this idea that Thoreau lived all by himself, that he survived off the land, that he was almost a hermit, and by hermitizing himself, if that's a word, he got to a deeper sense of truth because he was not dependent on anyone. And to be American, of course, is not to depend on others. It was with this thinking that I started reading the article, but by the end of it, my thinking had changed entirely. It turns out that Thoreau was not alone at Walden Pond, that he had neighbors who he talked to, who he was friends with, and who helped him as much as he helped them. In other words, there was a community at Walden, not just random individuals taking care of themselves. And this community was diverse, made up mostly of outcasts living on the outskirts of town. They were marginalized from Boston, not fully accepted, and so they made their home around a pond out in the forest. In some ways, I think this new vision that I got from reading the article is more American than the one that I had, of people, all a little different, making do the best they can, leaning on each other when times get tough. And so I hope that you like that article, and let me know if you do. And that's it for this second episode of the Highlighter Podcast. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.